Patrick is saying. So I just believe we can actually have more messages I'm seeing here. So Patrick is a public relation officer. He said it's so good to be here. Amazing. All right, can we have messages, please? I'm actually looking forward to reading your messages and feeling how you are feeling. Okay, Omolade Adeyemi said he's an associate with the Nigeria Youth SDGs and he's feeling super excited. Amazing. That feeling is contagious. All right, so anyone else again, come on, you are telling us you're feeling right now. Before we get started, just tell us your feeling because I'll be evaluating your feeling after the session. I want to see if your feeling is actually spot on right now before even the session starts. So can we have more messages? Can we have more people just tell us? So where are you joining from? What is the feeling you are having about the session right now? I'm still expecting, I'm still looking forward to reading your messages from here. Okay, we have Dorcas. Dorcas Ben said he's joining from Lagos. Okay, we have Opeoluwa Oyeyemi. He's a youth development officer from the Oyo State Youth Development Agency and is excited about the session. Wow, amazing. Oluseyi is joining from Makurdi. Wow, amazing. Amazing. Good to have you here. Happy to be here. Happy to have you here, Oluseyi. Amazing. Okay, Dorcas Ben is joining from Lagos. He's excited to be here as well. Omotoyosi is joining from Lagos. Good to have you here, Omotoyosi. Can we have more messages? I mean, this is not a room to keep quiet. This is not a room to just keep watching. You have to actually be part of the discussion. This is an event put together for youths like you, like myself. So let's not let's keep up the energy, firing up. So can I have more messages before we move on? Can I have more responses from people before we go ahead? So tell me, where are you joining us from and what is the feeling you are having about this session? I want to read more. I want to read more. Come on, if you allow me. Okay, amazing. All right, so I believe you can just go ahead and just move ahead then. So I will revert back to that as people are trying to drop in the messages. So let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead. So, like I said, that this powerful, this amazing event is put together. We are under the umbrella of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, UN, ECOSOC. I mean, that's a that's a principal body responsible for coordinating social, economic, and other related work of the 15 UN specialized agencies. So, but there is this partnership going on that put about this event, partnership from the Nigeria Youth Heritage Network, the Mind the Gap Initiative, and then the United Nations Nigeria Interagency Youth Group. All right, so I'll just be calling on, for us to have some reflection about why we are here today. So, what is the reason why we are gathered here today? So, I'll just call on, representative from Nigeria Youth Heritage Network in personal, Ms. Opeyemi Ogundeji. So please, can you just unmute your mic and just tell us, why are we here in the first place and what should be our expectation concerning this session this morning? So, Ms. Opeyemi, can you hear me, please? Can you just unmute your mic and just go ahead and share? Ms. Opeyemi, can you hear me? Please, can you just unmute your mic and go ahead? Okay. I believe you can all hear me. Ms. Opeyemi Ogundeji, are you there?
Yes,
Can you just share with
I
us
can
what
hear
is
I
the
can hear you now.
okay, please go ahead. Please,
I can
please
hear
go
you
ahead.
now. All right. Good morning, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us. Can you hear me now, Precious?
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. We can hear you. We
All
can hear you.
right.
Please go ahead.
All right. Good morning once again, everyone.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Please go ahead. We can.
All right. Good morning once again, everyone. And it's a pleasure having us all here. We're excited to be hosting you today. And we love that we have different people, different participants from different parts of the world, particularly Nigeria, right? We appreciate you joining us today. And it's a reflection of you being interested in learning one or two things to kind of like improve the work that you do wherever you are working hard or wherever you are pushing the kind of work that you're actually pushing in your respective spaces. So today we're actually here for the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum Virtual Side event. And for us at NGU's SDGs, in collaboration with Mind the Gap and United Nations Interagency Youth Group for this side event. We're actually exploring the theme that is called Youth Leadership and Financing for a Sustainable Future. And the reason for this session, what we're trying to achieve for this event is that we want to highlight the role of youth leadership in financing sustainable development and also ensuring equitable economic opportunities. We also want to have conversations around innovative financing mechanisms that will actually enable young people to access resources, including blended finance, impact investing, and also community-driven funding models. And also, another reason why we're actually here is for us to identify key challenges and barriers that are actually limiting youth, young people, youth civil society organizations, right, youth-led organizations to actually access funding and discuss policy solutions for more inclusive financial solution. And lastly, another reason why we have actually gathered here today is actually to promote collaboration between young people, financial institutions, government agencies, development partners in order to co-create a financial framework that actually empower young change makers. And I'm so excited. These are like the reasons why we're actually here today. And I'm excited that this session objective are actually covered most, even in the representation of the panelists and the speakers that we have for this event, and also the kind of audience that we have in the room for our participants. We have young people across all over who are actually on this call. Some of you who are already leading your different initiatives or even driving social impact in your respective communities. Just as one of the objectives I said is just to also showcase collaboration, right, between different agencies. We have some of our speakers that are actually working with international development organizations. We have those who are already in the impact investing, and we have those who are actually leading a social enterprise. And we also have people who are actually, in the government sector. We have one of the government agency representative here. So this conversation is to, at the end, actually help us to around financial issues, especially in driving social change in our respective communities, especially in this era of, different funding cuts and all. So please, when it's time to have interactive Q&A session, we expect that, you freely ask your question in a respectful and ethical manner, share your contributions, because this conversation is happening in different places across the world. And for us in Nigeria, this is our country, and we are looking at it, what's better way do we actually ensure that even our own country, we as young people, we are not really beneficiaries. We are not just folding our hands and looking at what is happening, but also we are leading and taking charge, driving the solutions to ensure that there is actually more financial opportunities for us to drive the work that we are doing. Most people who are going to be talking, they are going to be sharing from their wealth of knowledge. And I'm so excited to actually learn from every one of them, because I know you will also do too. And also for us at NG Youth SDGs, NG Youth SDGs is the short form for Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative. We are a youth civil society organization who is actually advocating for meaningful youth engagement in programs and policies to enable young Nigerians particularly to lead and thrive in their respective spaces. So, and as an organization, our belief in our theory of change is that when young people are actually equipped and empowered with the right knowledge and skills, they will have the capacity, they will have that energy, they will have that right information in order to influence their peers, decision makers, to challenge systemic issues, and also, be part of the drivers for youth-led change in our country, especially Nigeria. And our thematic focus areas at NG Youth SDGs are three. We have education and leadership development, which is the first one. The second one is that we have civic participation. We want young people to be involved in governance. We don't just want them to take the back seat. We want them to be involved in co-creation of policies, things that actually move the needle forward. And also the third one is the aspect of employment and livelihood opportunities. We want young people, especially young Nigerians, to have access to decent work. when we talk about decent work, not only you getting enough pay, but also like in your workplace, you are really treated as a decent human. You have access to the right wage. You have access to safe working environment. You know your rights as an employee, and you are able to actually exercise your rights also as a young person who is working in Nigeria. So thank you so much. Everything we do at NGU is basically meant as empowering young people and ensuring that they are able to contribute meaningfully to advancing our country's goals, mission, and vision. So that's Nigeria, which we are all proud to be part of today. So thank you so much, and that will be all from my hand. Welcome once again to this virtual side event. We are so happy to have you, and we hope that you actually have a great time.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Opeyemi. That's spot on. Thank you so much for sharing. That's an heartfelt opening there. Okay, yeah. So I can still read in the chat box. People are still, engaging this their keyboards. Please don't dull these moments. This event is here for you. You can go ahead and pitch yourself. Tell us where you are joining us from. You can tell us, what to do and the feeling you're having about this session. Please don't dull the session. Don't dull the session. Let's keep the fire up. Let's keep the energy up in the room. All right. So I will be calling on Dr. Babatunde from the United Nations Nigeria Interagency Youth Group. Dr. Babatunde, are you there, sir? Can you just share with us, what you do? Why do you put this together in the first place? Dr. Babatunde, are you there? Can you just unmute and just speak? Tell us. Dr. Babatunde, are you there, sir? Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so it's all right then. I'm not sure is available to speak or something. So I'll just go ahead and just read, for Mind the Gap initiative, Mind the Gap Nigeria. I'll just go ahead and read for them. So, all right. So Mind the Gap, is one of the
Hear me now?
partners that actually puts these events together. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you. Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I just want to thank Nigerian Youth SDGs for putting this together in collaboration with the UN Interagency Group. On behalf of the coalition of all UN agencies working on youth development and an harmonious relationship both at the development and the humanitarian sector. I just want to say good morning to all passionate youth representatives on this platform and everyone joining us on this in this space. So I'm standing here not as a representative of UNFP, but as part of the United Front, the United Nations Interagency Group on Youth. Of course, we know that the theme of this year resonates with a lot of things and is a continuation of some of the elements of things we started when we started the consultative stakeholder forum on the summit for the future, and aligns with the mandate of the global world to ensure that we meet the SDG targets. Nigeria is a dynamic country because of its burgeoning youth population, and because of the fact that a lot of these young people face a lot of challenges. Our commitment as the UN is for us to ensure we safeguard the rights and well-being of young people and ensure that young people are recognized and given the mandate to be on the table in terms of discussion about what they want their future to be. Because for us, young people are critical mass, and if we want to maximize demographic dividend in this country, they must be recognized. Their voices must be part of driving solutions, scientific solutions, social impact solutions for us to be able to meet the SDGs. And I think this has been reiterated clearly in the Pact for the Future and the commitment that has been made. So we need to empower young people with all the knowledge and skills, and that's what we do at the UN Interagency Group. We try to ensure we create a platform for strategic and meaningful engagement of young people. We try as much as possible to empower them with the knowledge and skills so that they can make informed decisions, and so that young people will be able to realize their full potential and contribute to the economic and social transformation of this country. For us, we also believe that young people are not just future leaders, they are the leaders of today, and that their energy, their innovation, and resilience, if combined with the right skill sets, can propel Nigeria into an era of unprecedented growth and sustainability. As the UN Interagency Group, we are committed to making sure we make the right investment in young people, and for us to ensure that there's sustainable financial inclusion for a lot of these young people, because we also know that one of the barriers that we see clearly that is making young people not to be able to be part of this conversation is this issue of ensuring that people at the grassroots, people who are down at the community level, have sufficient resources for them to be able to develop some innovative solutions to address some of these social issues that we have as a country. I'm glad to be here, and I hope that the conversations we'll be having and discussions would form critical issues and make adequate recommendations that can also be incorporated into the proposed youth confab that the federal government is organizing. So on behalf of the UN Interagency Group, I wish everyone a wonderful discussion, and I hope that more people will join so that all of us can have a conversation together on the way forward, even as we celebrate the ECOSOC forum. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Dr. Babatunde Adelekun. Thank you so much. That's such a solid foundation to build on. Thank you so much. All right, so young people still joining the call. This is United Nations Economic and Social Council virtual side event, and we are here because of you. So please don't dull the moment. Keep the energy high in the room. Tell us where you are joining the call from. Tell us what to do as a person. This is the best platform to pitch yourself. So don't keep quiet. Don't just keep watching. Make sure you tell us. Just make sure your keyboard is engaged as you have. Reflect your reflections here. Let's see where you are joining from. Let's see your excitement. Let's feel your excitement in the room. So don't keep quiet. Like Dr. Babatunde had rightly said, that youth are no longer, the leaders for tomorrow. We are no longer future leaders. We are the current leaders. We just need the right support. We need the right system. We need the right funding for us to be able to show up, for us to be able to pitch up ourselves and give the world the best that we have. All right. So don't keep quiet during this moment. Make sure you are engaged. Make sure you are very, very interactive in this room. All right, so moving forward now, like I said, that this event is brought together by three powerful organizations. Mr. Kwemi Ogundeji has spoken for Nigeria Youth SDGs Network. Dr. Abatunde Adelekun has also spoken for the United Nations Nigeria Interagency Youth Group. Now I'll be reading for Mr. Tayo Holoshunde from Mind the Gap Nigeria. So Mind the Gap Nigeria is a project-based strategic skills development, job creation, and social enterprise incubation platform with a vision to live in communities where the unique qualities of youth will be fully developed, utilized, and rewarded. Mind the Gap is one of the leading partners for the Google-sponsored Digital Skills Africa project. Digital Skills for Africa is a program organized by Google to train 1 million young Africans across Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa on introductory level digital skills and tools. Mind the Gap has a aim to leverage the unique qualities and aspirations of the youth towards developing their communities through creating digitalized innovative solutions. Currently, Mind the Gap is a lead partner in Nigeria and has trained over 160,000 Nigeria youths on digital skills. Thank you so much, Mind the Gap Nigeria, for putting this together for the youth. I mean, this is just the right room for us to pitch herself. Thank you for putting up these conversations, this amazing lineup of speakers. I mean, we're going to the keynote session now, the speaking, the session, and I'm just so much excited about, the lineup of speakers that we have here. These are veterans and experts in their field. So I believe you're already with your notepad. I believe you are, with your pen, you want to jot out something, not just something, but some powerful insight that will propel you forward in what you do as a youth. Remember that youths, we are no longer the leaders for tomorrow. We are the current leaders who just need to be in the right room, who need the right support, who need the right funding for us to be able to project ourselves to the world there and drive in sustainable solutions. So as this the theme of this event is youth leadership and financing for a sustainable future. And I believe that's a lot that's a solid stuff, compacted in that team. All right, so people are still joining in. I really wish I could read out here, but please just go ahead and keep pitching yourself in the chat box to make sure your keyboard is not as quiet. Even though you are quiet, just engage, reflect. Reflect, be interactive as the speakers will be speaking. Make sure you are not, quiet. Make sure you are engaged. Make sure you are, reflecting the insights and the lessons that you are learning while the speakers are going ahead, with their sessions. All right, so I'll just be calling on the our first speaker for today. I'll be reading his bio as well. I'll be calling on the first speaker for today. Oh goodness, I think Mr. Tayo is right here in the room with us. So Mr. Tayo, if you can still speak, please, you can go ahead and speak. Mr. Tayo Holoshinde, if you can speak, go ahead and unmute your mic and speak, sir.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. Unfortunately, it's a clash of different programs, but because of the importance of this program, can you hear me? Can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, Mr. Tayo, we can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. So it's a privilege to be here, and again, congratulations to the youth all over the globe for wherever you are joining from. And it's a great honor to partner with Youth for SDG and the UN Agency on Youth Development. Mind the Gap, just like the moderator had said, of course, our major focus is on strategic skills development. But more importantly, also is our commitment to ensure that youth policies that are relating to young people are not just only created, but they are implemented and young people are put, on the front burner of driving the policy. So basically, we are so excited to be here, and we are also very excited that one of our very amazing partner, Elizabeth from, Nigerian Nigeria Youth Future Fund, is going to be speaking to us. Here is an organization and a lady that has done a lot to just ensure that the theme of this particular program today, she is inside it, she's doing the work, and I look forward to hearing from her and actually listening to all the tips and the information and the insight that she's going to be giving to us. So we're very excited to be here, and we look forward to greater collaboration, because just like what Dr. Babatunde said, beyond anything that Mind the Gap is currently involved in right now is the need to ensure that young people are brought together in a coalition to drive issues that concerns you. For those of you who are at the Summit of the Future last year, there's a central theme of every single thing that the Secretary General of the United Nations was saying. The young people, you cannot just be waiting for permission anymore. You have all it takes to deliver the future and the life that you want today. The future belongs to you, so you don't need a permission to live in it. The technology that you require to build a great future is in your hand, And when it comes to even the innovation that is going to shape that next future, the young people are the one that has innovation. Then the most important thing that I also encourage us to do is to collaborate. And of course, finally, is what UN is doing to actually motivate and actualize investment in young people. So I just want to encourage you. That is one of the things Mind the Gap and all our partners are currently doing, bringing young people together in a coalition of youth NGOs and civil society organizations towards implementing some of the terms of the Pact of the Future. And we look forward to continue to work with all of you on this call. Just look online, search for us, and we'll be able to connect you, to other greater things that is happening. Congratulations, youth. SDG. The name kept skipping my mind, but I want to wish us all the best in this on this call, and I look forward to question and answers. I'll still remain on this call. Thank you very much.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo Oloshinje, for that powerful. I mean, I could literally feel the fire from where you are. Thank you so much for sharing with us, sir. And just like Mr. Taiwo has rightly said, please, you don't want to keep quiet. You really don't want to just stay mute. Make sure you are engaging, with your keyboard. Make sure you are reflecting and just pitching yourself out there. Tell us where you are joining from. Tell us what your name is. And just, you can't be quiet. You can't afford to be quiet in this kind of room where we have veterans and experts, speaking to us. All right. So we have, we'll not be moving straight into the into the speakers, into the keynote address, right? So our first speaker for today is Mr. Ronald David Kayanja. So I will be reading his bio very, very quickly. And while he is preparing to come on mic, please make sure you are with your pen. Make sure you are with your notepad to jot, to write down amazing things. And as you're doing that, don't keep quiet. Make sure you're reflecting your thoughts, even as he's speaking. All right, Mr. Ronald David Kayanja as an Uganda national. He's the director of the United Nations Information Center, UNIC for Nigeria. He has been director of the center since 2015. Mr. Kayanja has worked for the UN since 1996 and has worked with the UN peacekeeping operations in Timor-Leste, where he served as government advisor, working specifically on media and civil society. Mr. David Kayanja, as a UNESCO as advisor for communication and information in West Africa, is based initially in Africa but subsequently in Abuja. He has worked on projects with the FAO, and started his UN career as a national officer with the UNDP in Uganda. Mr. Kayanja studied at Makerere University in Kampala, Uganda, where he obtained a BA in mass communication. He went to the University of Cardiff, UK for an MA in journalism studies and the University of Malmö, Sweden, where he studied communication and development at master's degree level. He has also served as director of PANOS Global Hits Program from August 2005 to June 2007 in Lusaka, Zambia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a whole lot for a profile. Come on, can we just make welcome? Come on, let's reflect our excitement in the chat box. Come on, with your clappings, show your excitement in this chat box. Let's welcome Mr. David Kayanja to take up, the first keynote session. Please, you can go ahead, sir. Mr. Ronald David Kayanja. Okay, come on, we can go. I want to see our reflection, our excitement. Let's reflect our excitement in the chat. You are clapping. Come on, let's have it. All right, Mr. Ronald David, you can join us now, so you can unmute your mic and speak, sir. Okay, Mr. Ronald, I don't know, maybe he's trying to. Is it a technical glitch or something? Is he on the call? Okay, I'm trying to. All right. I'm not sure Mr. Ronald David Kayanja is available to take up this first message, this first address. We'll probably just go to the next keynote speaker then and hope he join us before the call ends. I'm still waiting for a few seconds to see if he can tune in. Okay. Okay. I will just have to just move ahead to the next keynote speaker because of our time. All right, so we hope Mr. Ronald David Kayanja will join us as soon as he can. Probably he has a technical glitch to deal with or something. All right, so please let's just move ahead to Dr. Onyeche Elizabeth Hagbiti Douglas.
Apologies, I
He,
had
he.
some
Oh,
some
oh, oh,
I
oh, okay,
had
okay, okay.
something
Awesome,
again
that's so
that took
good.
me out a bit of the meeting.
Oh, all right.
Um,
It's so good to have you, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
my apologies, but if you can allow me to speak now. Can you hear me?
Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
You can hear me. Oh, again, apologies. I just there was something that made me to step out a bit, but I would like to thank you so much for organizing this side event as part of the ECOSOC Youth Forum. And thank you so much for inviting me to make some remarks. I know you wanted me to speak specifically about the Pact for the Future, but I've had my colleague also, Dr. Babatunde, speak about it. I would like to really frame my remarks around the global theme of this ECOSOC Youth Forum. And as you know, the theme is advancing sustainable, inclusive science and evidence-based solutions for Agenda 2030 for sustainable development and the sustainable development goals for leaving no one behind. It's a very long theme, but it has so many components that are quite important for us. So it's the theme that I really hope I can focus on, and really hoping also that the young people who are listening to us today will take it very seriously. You are all aware that we are living through a revolution. Artificial intelligence is transforming our lives and all industries that you can focus on. Climate technologies are redefining whatever we knew about sustainability, and digital platforms are rewriting how we learn, how we work and live. So all this presents to us, especially those of us in these so-called developing countries, with opportunities, but also with challenges. According to a recent report, our colleagues in the UN UNCTAD just released a report just last week, the UN Technology and Innovation Report of 2025. According to this report, artificial intelligence and other frontier technologies are expanding rapidly, with the global AI market alone projected to reach $1.8 trillion by 2030. $1.8 trillion by 2030. The downside for us is that less than 10% of AI research publications come from developing countries. And this is a divide that if we don't change it, will undermine whatever efforts we are putting in to develop our societies. Right now, over 2.6 billion people globally remain unconnected to the internet, and many of them, as you know, are in Africa. Nigeria's digital innovation potential is immense, but we must build it on purpose. According again to a Global Innovation Report Index of 2024, which was produced by our colleagues in WIPO, the UN agency which works on innovation, it has ranked Nigeria 113th out of 133 economies in innovation. That's not where Nigeria should be. Nigeria doesn't lack talent. What Nigeria lacks, according indeed to this report, is lacking targeted investment, infrastructure, and skills. And I'm glad when I was hearing the introduction of Mind the Gap, this is something that you are trying to do. Skills. We need targeted investment, we need corresponding infrastructure, and we need skills, the young people to be skilled to take advantage of the opportunities that science and technology provides. As you know, science and technology are not abstract concepts in textbooks. but they are tools which can help us to solve big problems that we face, like food insecurity, healthcare access, education, and climate vulnerability. With science and technology, especially with the artificial intelligence that we now are exposed to, we can solve a number of problems. Imagine that with artificial intelligence and precision farming, you can help smallholder farmers in Kano to predict crop yields and manage water use. Machine learning tools can diagnose diseases in under-resourced clinics in any part of the country. Affordable solar technology in rural schools will improve education. So these are not dreams, they are possibilities already working in countries that have invested in their youth and science ecosystems. And it's not about only adapting technology, it's about creating it. As you know, and you have said it before, Nigeria has the largest youth population in Africa. More than 60% of Nigeria's population is under 25. So Nigeria's greatest resource, we always say this, and it's important to emphasize, it's not oil, it's not gold, and I know there's gold in many parts of the country, but Nigeria's greatest resource is you, the young people. But young people must act, must learn, must lead, must be participating, especially in cutting-edge technologies. We are at the forefront of what the UN Technology and Innovation Report, I've told you about the UN Innovation Report, which was launched this week. It has called it the fifth industrial revolution that must center human values and inclusiveness. The world needs more than just coders and engineers. It needs ethical innovators, critical thinkers, tech-savvy entrepreneurs, people who will build with a purpose. Yet the challenges are real. Many of our schools lack reliable internet, as you know. Less than 40% of secondary schools in sub-Saharan Africa have access to electricity, let alone digital labs. Gender gaps are also a problem, with fewer girls in STEM fields. These are barriers we must break with advocacy, with solidarity, and with policies driven by your voices. That's why when I see young people like you, I feel that we should be talking about critical things really that are affecting our lives and that can determine whether we rise or fall. That's why there's the Global Digital Compact. If you've heard about the Summit for the Future, which has 56, which came up with the Pact for the Future with 56 actions, 2 annexes. One is the Global Digital Compact, and another one is the document on future generations. So this Pact for the Future, the Global Digital Compact, calls for urgent action to close this digital divide, the divides between the developed and the so-called developing countries, to increase investment in local content and train public officials and educators in digital literacy. But you see, sometimes we say the government will do it. Governments alone will not do it. It requires a strong involvement of the young people. It requires you to form yourselves into a movement that will fight to ensure that no one is left behind in this world that is changing so much, especially with the current emerging technologies. The Global Innovation Index, which I talked about, which our colleagues in WIPO produce every year, it reminds us that innovation ecosystems take time, but also that emerging economies like India, Indonesia, and the Philippines are rising very fast. As you've heard, the government is working towards the goal of Nigeria becoming a $1 trillion economy. And Indonesia is an economy now of about 1.3 trillion. Say about $1.3 trillion economy. Population of Nigeria and Indonesia are comparable. Indonesia has about 220 million people. So Nigeria can rise. Nigeria has the talent. What we need is you to have the vision and the courage to lead. All I want to do now is to challenge you. If you're a student, you should choose the path that merges science and service. If you're a researcher, light a fire in your students. If you're a policymaker, any policymaker listening to me, work hard to improve infrastructure, data, and skills of our young people for them to better participate in the value chains. Young people, please join, start working with the tech clubs, work on to demand better broadband. Sometimes I'm here and wondering when we will have a most efficient internet connectivity. I know the ministry is doing its best, but we need your voices to make demands. Learn to code, learn to analyze, learn to solve problems. If you are left behind as a young person, if on this in this event we have a young person that has no idea about the potential of artificial intelligence, this long weekend, try to teach yourself. They are all tools that are available online for you, because if artificial intelligence and all these emerging technologies leave you behind, then you will not be appropriate for this emerging world. Imagine that with AI now, you can write poems. Drones can plant forests. The other day, I was looking at a video documentary in some countries in East, I think it is in Malaysia. They use drones to analyze what is going on with their forests. So if you cut a tree today, they'll be able to see it immediately on their screens to monitor that you have cut a tree or you have destroyed some ecosystems. It can be monitored. They have deployed drones everywhere. This technology is helping them to monitor their natural resource use. We need you young people to get involved in this new economy. So there's no excuse for you to lag behind. This is your time. The future is not something we are waiting for. It is what we build. My challenge to you, young people, is that the new technologies have changed our lives forever. And once you are left behind, this talk and mobilization and so on will not take you anywhere. You must be a leader in the current technological advancements. You must learn data. You must learn coding, because our hope is in you. If the young people of Nigeria don't take this challenge, then as a country, we have a problem. Our hope is in you, the young people, to advance this society so that Nigeria is not left behind. As I said, many economies are moving very fast and taking advantage, and we look to you to lead. You see, somebody said it already, that you are not future leaders, but you are leaders of today. But we want to see you leading, not just talking about it. And when we see you leading, then we have hope that Nigeria will rise. Thank you very much. I'll stop here. I hope I've managed to at least to charge you into what I think is what is going to change our lives forever in this season. Thank you so much.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Ronald Kayanja. That's so profound. Come on, audience, ladies and gentlemen, can we reflect our excitement? I mean, this is a profound profound, short, concise, but powerful session we just had with Mr. Ronald Kayanja. Can we reflect our excitement in the chat box? Come on, come on. I think we really should do this. Let's reflect how excited we are. I mean, I've learned so much. That's such a powerful edition. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for reaffirming and emphasizing that the youths are not negotiable. I mean, one thing that really stood out for me was the fact that the Nigeria greatest resources is not in the petroleum, it's actually in the youth. So youth are the greatest resources a country can ever have, and we have to start seeing ourselves as such. We have to start driving the change. We have to start leading the future that we want to see. Nigerians youth are no longer leaders for the future, but they are current leaders. That's so spot on. Thank you so much, Mr. Ronald. All right, so I mean, our time is fast spent. We'll just be moving ahead to the second keynote speaker. Okay, to the second keynote speaker. All right, so we have Elizabeth Hagbiti Douglas. We have Dr. Elizabeth. I believe she's in the room already. Shall be reading her profile while she take us to the next session. All right, so Oyenchi Elizabeth is a project director for the Nigeria Youth Future Fund at LEAP Africa. She is deeply committed to driving positive social change and development and believes this should be done through an inclusive and sustainable approach. She is enthusiastic about ensuring that policy decision making is evidence based and the robust involvement of all stakeholders in governance. Elizabeth brings a wealth of experience, knowledge, and skills in communications and project management in Nigeria's international development and humanitarian space, all of which she has brought to bear on diverse thematic areas, including advocacy, agricultural policy, energy, gender, and youth mainstreaming, migration, open governance, and private sector development. Elizabeth has a PhD with a specialization in development communication from Babcock University, with a thesis that has examined the roles of news and social media in framing female political leadership in Nigeria's general election in 2023. She is also a certified project management professional (PMP) and a member of the Project Management Institute (PMI) and the Association of Media and Communication Researchers of Nigeria (ANCRON). In addition, she is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Administration. Ladies and gentlemen, can we make welcome, in the chat box, let's reflect our excitement. I believe this chat box is quite, quiet for this amazing session we've been having so far. Can we make welcome Dr. Elizabeth Adbiti Douglas? Can we reflect our excitement in the chat box? Come on, come on. Don't be quiet. Don't be quiet. Reflect. You can clap. You can drop, celebratory emoji to make welcome Dr. Honyeche Elizabeth. Please, you have the floor, ma. Please go ahead, ma.
Thank you very much, Precious, and good morning, everyone. I want to take the opportunity to particularly thank the Nigeria Youth SDGs for organizing this, thanking Mind the Gap, and also recognizing and thanking Dr. Adelekun and Mr. Kayanja from the two UN agencies here for not just their presence, but for their partnership in convening today's event. For me, I bring greetings from the Nigeria Youth Future Fund and from our key implementing agency, LEAP Africa. It's a privilege for me to be here today to discuss a topic that plays an important part in our collective future. Mr. Kayanja, Adelekun, every speaker before me has already done a good job of setting the context. With a population, and I'm not just speaking about Africa, but bringing it home to Nigeria, with a population where 65% of us are young people, projections of 50, the average age of a Nigerian being 19. In fact, at present, the average Nigerian is supposed to be slightly under the age of 20. So I always tell folks, what that means is that if you are thinking of 5 out of 10 Nigerians, 5 of them are, 20-year-olds. Think about that and think about what that means. So an important point, and I think that's a message I think that we need to keep emphasizing and driving home until our own young people themselves, is that we're no longer talking about leadership as something that's going to happen in the future. It right now, is what decides what the future is going to look like. And so if our young people are sitting back and waiting for permission to be allowed to lead, that may never quite happen. Leadership is something that you look in your environment, you look at the resources available to you, you look at the problems that need solving, and on your own, if you need to learn, if you need to access resources, you are your own champion and you play a key role. Of course, it doesn't mean that government, other partners don't have a role to play. But you ultimately are the captain of your own ship. And we are looking to Nigeria's young people to step up and to play that role and be their own champions and advocates. So, I mean, that said, let me begin to speak about, the topic at hand, which is around financing leadership for a sustainable future. The sustainability of our world and for our society as Nigeria is not hinged only on environmental preservation or economic prosperity, but also on the ability of our young leaders in particular to be able to access resources, develop innovative solutions, and drive meaningful change. However, we must acknowledge a challenge, one that's growing. Aside from the changes that technology portends for us, I mean, Mr. Kanaja did an excellent job speaking to that. We have AI. Every year, every couple of years, every decade or so, there's a new piece of technology or innovation that comes and upends life as we know it, and that we need to be able to tap into. But aside from that is, I mean, something as simple as the reduction in foreign aid coming from major global donor countries. The United States, made an announcement early this year, but we've also seen the United Kingdom, the European Union, many of its member countries make similar announcements. The Netherlands, France, Germany, Canada. These are all countries that have already said they are going to be reducing the funding that's available for aid, right? And these budget cuts have implications for vital sectors. And for countries, particularly here in Nigeria, with sectors that depend significantly on this funding, particularly when we're talking about leadership, it's a risk, right? In fact, one would even say it's beyond a risk now. It's an issue that we need to take seriously. So we're not just going to talk, I'm not just going to talk about the importance of leadership, which we already know about, but giving us a charge and saying that we young leaders must begin to create or tap into new financing models, right? Beyond the traditional dependence on grants from governments. I mean, I've been saying since January when the announcement came out, the contributions from the US government and other donors have been substantial. For a country like Nigeria, we have benefited hundreds of millions just as of last year from the US government support. However, these are countries that also have their own challenges. And as is to be expected, if they feel they need to prioritize certain things back at home or elsewhere, it's well within their rights to do so, even as continue to appeal to them to continue to provide the support. But we need to find newer financing models that are more sustainable, that are less at risk, and that don't continue to depend solely on the benevolence of other countries. Let me speak to the fact that globally and in Nigeria as well, we have young entrepreneurs and activists who have proven their ability to drive change. So again, I think this is a key point we need to take on. There are many of you on this call. I've looked at some of the names on the list. Some of you are either individuals or youth-led organizations that NYFF has worked with. and who we've seen, already have amazing stories of impact. So the ability for young entrepreneurs, young activists to actually drive change in areas, let's talk about climate adaptation, whether it's financial inclusion, job creation across the globe is not what is up for debate. There's so much evidence, and there's too much, too many stories that back that assertion. So it's even with financial constraints, by the way, all of this has been happening. I can make mention just here in Africa, there's the NYFF. I'm not going to belabor the point. We have examples from Rwanda, from Zimbabwe, from Kenya. Mr. Kayanja made mention of Asia, economies like India, Pakistan. There are plenty of examples of young people are taking advantage of technology, building their own financial skills to be able to drive sustainable development. And of course, we can't forget our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, in Latin America as well. I'm deliberately using examples from what they would call south of the divide. I'm not mentioning the UK, I'm not mentioning Europe, North America, the G20. Because again, I think oftentimes, those examples for us seem unreachable. But these are examples, for countries like us, countries who have similar stories, have had challenges around colonialism, challenges around underdevelopment and whatnot. And yet these are countries where we see a lot of progress being made and a lot of progress being driven by young people. So I think I want to believe that I've made, and if for nothing else, I guess what I want us to take home is that we are the ones, young people are the ones ultimately who can decide whether they want to be in the driver's seat or not. It's change is not easy, right? Being given that space to operate is not going to be easy. It's never just handed over. But the truth of it is we can and we are. Let me not leave out examples from the Middle East, Lebanon, Jordan. There are examples of where young entrepreneurs have taken technology and are using it to come up with renewable energy solutions, supporting refugee communities. And I'll speak again to the models and the approaches they've taken, because I think that is what may be useful for a lot of us here. Okay. So I think next, I'm going to speak next, and as I do, this is me beginning to wrap up. We've talked about the challenges. We know that there's a challenge around accessing funding for for young people generally, particularly for those of us who operate in the civil society, civic spaces, right? We have identified that the issue is not necessarily one of young people's ability to bring about this change. Although, of course, learning is something that has to keep going on. There's a lot of work we need to do as young people in terms of making sure that if there are knowledge gaps, there are skills gaps around things, we don't sit back and wait for somebody to come and equip us with those things. As Mr. Kayanja very, very poignantly stated, we have the benefits of technology. We can go online and choose to educate ourselves on things. The global economy now is a knowledge-driven economy. And even in Nigeria, with our constraints in terms of access to internet, there are enough of us on this call for who that's not a reality, right? So now, in terms of financing solutions themselves, one point, so in offering solutions, I'm going to speak to us as young people. But I'm also going to be speaking to things that are not directly within our control, but that we still are able to influence. Because again, the point of this is not us talking again about things that other people need to do for us, but things that young people themselves need to do, right? Number one, again, and this one is obvious, and I'm sure everybody is going to nod their heads for this one, is that there does need to be targeted investment funds. And here we're calling specifically to governments and to financial institutions, right? So our own government does have a responsibility, and I think at least for those of us who are in the space, we are aware that there are initiatives, there are moves. We just recently had the youth activities dashboard launched, which showed that there's over 800 projects, federal government funded projects focusing on youth, supporting young people, right? That activities dashboard, for those of us who engage it, now know where the money is and are able to go and try and access them. So there's work that government needs to in terms of providing that. There's already some of that available. But again, this question of us as young people actively going out to seek information about those things and keying into them is another point. Financial institutions similarly have the role to play. So in terms of financing, whether it's venture capital, grant funds, we need more of such funding windows that are specifically tailored to support youth-led enterprises, particularly when it comes to sustainability. So that's one. The second point I'm going to be making in terms of profit solution is around microfinance and peer-to-peer lending, right? So let's think back to the cooperatives, the model around the cooperatives. A lot of us as young people say that one thing that's a challenge is lack of access to collateral, right? So you want to approach a bank or an institution and they ask you for collateral. Not everybody has land, that they can put up. It's a similar challenge that women themselves face, other marginalized groups face. However, there are microfinance institutions and peer lending platforms that provide low barrier credit access to leaders in underserved communities, right? So that's an option. And I'm sure you guys are hearing this means that as individuals, as organizations, we need to now do the work of making sure that you do things like your business plans. You are able to show why you are good to be able to access this sort of funding. Number 3 is around public and private partnerships. So here we're talking about collaboration in between governments, between private sector, between philanthropic foundations, right? I mean, again, even as young people, I'll add an extra caveat here about collaboration. So a lot of times there's an African proverb that says that if you want to go fast, you travel alone. But if you want to go far, travel with other people who are supposed to be going in the same direction. Your organization may not have clout to be able to access $1 million worth of funding, right? But there are other players in the same space and are able, along with you, to be able to plug those gaps, right? And instead of one of you choosing to go on your own and apply and maybe not get it, 3 of you can come together, agree on terms, each of you putting your best foot forward and leading in the aspects where you are strongest at, and then you are able to, access opportunities. Sometimes you may even find that those partnerships mean that money is not necessarily so much of an issue, but that there are resources, ideas, solutions amongst yourselves that you can share. I mean, there are studies that show that for whether it's women, whether it's ethnic groups, marginalized groups, generally, this tends to be a challenge. But ironically, for the groups that are able to access funding and that are winning and leading, collaboration is a key, vehicle that they get into, and that helps drive and that leadership. 2 last points quickly. One's around crowdfunding and community financing. So I'm not going to speak too much on this point, because again, I believe that you guys may even know more about this stuff than I do. We're talking digital banking, blockchain technology, which is available across the globe, crowdfunding platforms, a lot of entrepreneurship initiatives make use of these mechanisms, right? Where you identify the value that you have to offer, and you find individuals that are willing to, fund that for you. And this is, again, as I said, this is happening. There are examples of this across the globe, where youth-led initiatives have been funded through these kind of platforms. Last but not least, again, I'll speak to the point because I think it is important to emphasize the need for us as individuals and organizations to build up our own capacity. Our capacity around things like financial literacy, digital literacy, and understanding of the systems where we work, what the challenges are, where the opportunities are, the allies are, that we need to engage. And most importantly, how to run and manage our own organizations and initiatives effectively, and how to scale our projects sustainably. I will speak to one, just as I'm closing up now, maybe just dropping these numbers for you. A lot of us that operate in civil society organizations tend to register ourselves as purely non-profit organizations that cannot engage in any kind of, activity that generates an income. Let me just drop this here and say that across the globe, but in Nigeria in particular, that's something that is changing, right? I was shocked recently to discover that Nigeria has over 400,000 registered social enterprises. Social enterprises are an animal that's somewhere between your traditional non-profit and then your profit enterprises. So that category of organization exists to do good, to provide public services, to lead social change, but they do it, they can do it in ways where they can generate capital, right? So your organization can do M&E really well. That's something that you can provide as a service that you charge for. You can develop templates, that others can use for applying for funding. That's something that, if a service that you provide or a product that you provide that others pay for, right? So let me end up here and just say, as a call to action, final call to action for us. Leadership is not something that we say, we wait for and say someone is going to hand it to us. They talk, we grew up hearing leaders of tomorrow. I grew up hearing leaders of tomorrow. The time is now. I often tell folks that the generation that are leading now were in their 20s, mid-30s, when they started leading at national level. Our Obasanjos, our Yakubu ones, our Obafemi Awólọ́wọ̀, these gentlemen, our Nnamdi Azikiwe of blessed memory, they didn't sit down and somebody came and said, now it's time for you. There were situations, there were that required problems that required solving and stepped up, right? So what are we waiting for? I guess is the question. The future is not something we wait for, it's something we create ourselves. And so young people, again, we need to be our champion. So that means young entrepreneurs and innovators. We need to be the one leading the charge for advocacy, for policies that will fund led, right? We need to be the ones leveraging on technology and new financial models to drive innovative financing solutions, right? We're saying let's invest in the leaders of tomorrow. We need to invest in our own selves. We need to invest in our own ability to drive and lead change by creating accessible funding avenues, equipping our own selves with literacy, advocating for those who have more, information and skills to share this with us, and also by leading the charge for collaborative policies that will drive the kind of progress that we're looking for. I will close off by saying that now is the time. It's not tomorrow. It's not 10 years from now. It's not when you are 40 or 50. The time is now. Thank you all so much for listening. And at this point, I will hand back over to Precious to guide us through the rest of the program. Hello, Precious. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hello, everyone. I think Precious is having a bit of network issue, I suppose. So while Precious is trying to sort his network out, please, Precious, let us know when you're back. So while he's trying to sort out his network issue, please can we drop in the chat box what we actually got from what Dr. Elizabeth has actually spoken to us about. If there is one thing that I noted, I actually noted the different ways by which you can actually, the different financial models you could actually make use of, right, in sustaining and scaling your work. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. We sincerely appreciate that. That was insightful. At it, we are going to just basically go to the next section, which is the panel session. And can anyone hear me, please? Please let me know if you can hear me. Please drop in the chat box if you can hear me. Oh, all right. So we'll quickly go into the next session, right? And it's actually the panel session. You don't want to miss this because the people who are the panelists are actually from across different space. And we have the public, we have the social enterprise, those some of the various models that Dr. Elizabeth actually previously spoken about. We have people who are actually already making use of these models in their respective work, and we would like to basically listen to them and know how it has worked for them. What are the challenges? What are the barriers? We said that this is part of the objectives of the sessions today. What can you learn from their work in order to improve yours, basically? And also there's going to be a part for interactive session, Q&A, where you basically ask them anything, right, regarding what they've said or regarding how to even improve the work that you're doing. We already have our panelists here, so I will just read out their bio and they will all come up one by one to basically speak, and I'll hand over the mic to our panel moderator, who will take it over from there when I'm done introducing them. So the first person I will be calling on is Karina Karunwi, and Karina Karunwi is actually the head of programs Africa and Middle East Regional Lead at Impact Hub Lagos. Karina Karunwi is dedicated to fostering innovation ecosystems, supporting women, youth, and entrepreneurs across sub-Saharan Africa as the head of programs at Impact Hub Lagos and the African and Middle East Regional Lead with the Global Impact Hub. Right, she has a proven track record of designing and running a wide range of programs with the SDGs as a framework, focused on building capacity and connecting entrepreneurs, SMEs, startups, youth, women, and people with disabilities. Karina's passion lies in equipping individuals with the tools they need to succeed, Beyond our work at Impact Hub, Karina prides herself in being a multi-hyphenate as a CBT leadership coach and wellness coach supporting top executives globally. She has designed and facilitated mental health communication, team effectiveness, and leadership workshops for the likes of Google, Microsoft, Techstars, and more. Additionally, she runs a community of over 3,000 women globally with a focus on personal growth, career development, financial literacy, and more. Please, if your hands are active, kindly drop in the chat box claps to actually welcome Karina Karunwi. Please help me do that in the chat box. Please help me do that in the chat box. So clap for Karina as she turns on her video, right? And also the next person I'm going to be calling on as well is Rita. So I'm going to be calling on Rita. And Rita is actually the founder of EcoBata, right? Rita is a social innovator who works at the nexus of environment, development, and the economy. She's the founder of EcoBata, an innovative company that is building waste collection systems and transforming waste into new products. She built Nigeria's first reverse vending machine. She's also the president of Recyclers Association of Nigeria, a network of over 200 businesses. Through our work, Rita is helping Nigerians use waste as a currency and supporting vulnerable people build back their lives. Her work is also instrumental in addressing climate adaptation, social inclusion, and sustainable ecosystem development. If your hands are active once again, please help me welcome Rita in the chat box by clapping for her. And the next person I'm going to also introduce is Honorable Olamide Faguji, who is from the government agency. He's the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Climate Technology and Operations. Honorable Olamide, he most recently served as a Special Assistant to the President on Economic Matters under the previous administration. His work revolved around public policy development and analysis, and has contributed to the development of several national policy documents, such as the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan and the Medium-Term National Development Plan, which is for the year 2021 to 2025. He has also played a key role in the establishment of the National Council on Climate Change, that's NCCC. He's a computer engineer and is also a passionate advocate for climate action. Please help me clap for Honorable Faguji for actually joining us today. Please, let's clap for him. Let's clap for me. I don't know whether I can see your class, so please let's clap for him. And also, we'll be expecting him to turn on his video as well so we can see his face. And we have our panel moderator, who is our champion at NGU's SDGs. His name is Lasisi Godwin Onolapo. He's a young public health professional and sustainable development expert with a first-class degree in health promotion and environmental health education from the University of Ilorin. He has been recognized as the 2024 Climate Health Champion by Nigeria Health Watch. He is a global citizen, United Nations award-winning SDG advocate. He's a creative artist, multiple grants awardee, spearheading social impact initiatives to increase youth participation in health promotion, eco-literacy, education, and climate action in Africa and beyond. Godwin is the founder of Interfaith Alliance for SDG Action and Youth for One Health, featured by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime headquarters in Vienna, which led to increased health education, eco-literacy, and SDG action among over 7,000 school children in Nigeria. Godwin has spoken at multiple high-level international and national forums. His role as a UNDP youth delegate and also UNICEF Gen U Part and UNODC youth influencer has enabled him to engage youth and diverse high-level stakeholders at the AU, ECOWAS, UN, EU, and GIZ, internationally and locally in eco-literacy, health promotion, and youth development and sustainable development. So please welcome our youth champion as well as we all listen to them. I believe this is going to be an insightful panel session, which we are all going to learn one of the things from. Over to you, Godwin. You may have the floor.
Thank you so much, Okoyemi. Can everyone hear me? We can just have maybe like reactions, so I can be sure you hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, all right then.
Yes, we
All
can.
right then. All right then. Good afternoon, everyone. I mean, it's noon here. I mean, it's been an interactive session so far. Sometimes when I participate in conversations like this, I honestly just beam with pride as a Nigerian youth because it just gives us reason to believe that there is hope. In as much as there's, I mean, we're battling with inflation, we're looking at so many issues that we face in the country. But then you look at the amazing things that youth do, that young people do, how we champion sustainability in our environment. It just speaks to hope and give the utopia of a possibility of good futures, not just for Nigeria, but for Africa and the world at large. So before I will begin, I just want to say congratulations and well done to every young person for the amazing work that you do. I mean, in inspiring change and pioneering sustainability in your communities. So just before I go into engaging our panelists, I just want us to have at the back of our minds some of the indices and statistics that currently exist in Nigeria, which requires us to have this timely conversation. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. In 2023, UNDP found out that Nigeria's annual SDG financing gap is estimated at over $100 billion. I mean, it's now seen that bridging this gap requires stronger public-private partnerships and innovative financing mechanisms. So it's so much that we have to do. However, the potential is there. UNICEF and World Bank in 2022 also found out that only 1.2% of Nigeria's GDP is spent on health, below the recommended 5%. So you can also see that in as much as there's a sustainability financing gap, this also links to key areas and sectors such as health, agriculture, and even the environment. I mean, UNEP in 2021 also found that Nigeria loses about $10 billion to environmental degradation. Green investments and climate finance are urgently needed to support sustainable growth. So, and I think one thing that the Impact Hub focal point was spoken about was in terms of social impact organizations. I mean, you look at it from the point of these organizations are not just providing sustainable solutions to issues that we face, but you're also seeing ways that they can gain economic dividend from it. So it's almost a two-way approach of building communities and ensuring economic development in these communities as well. So we can just have this at the back of our minds, and I'll just go straight into engaging our panelists. I will start off with, I don't know if Rita is on the call. Are you on the call? If maybe you can have, um,
Yes, she is. Hello, everyone.
hello, good morning, or is it afternoon? Good afternoon.
Good morning. Thank
Good
you for
morning.
having me.
You're welcome. So I mean, just to icebreaker, what part of the world are you calling us from? Is it from Nigeria? Is it from the Republic of Abuja, or where exactly are you calling us from?
Abuja, the
Oh,
Abuj in
okay.
Nigeria. Yes, I'm calling from
Okay,
Abuja, Nigeria.
interesting. Thank you so much. So Rita, I mean, I'm a very big fan of the amazing work that you do, not just in terms of the change you've been privy to, I mean, just transform the lives of young people in rural communities, but also the innovation that came along with it. So in your opinion, I mean, considering the work that you've done based on your journey as a youth entrepreneur, what do you see as the biggest financial barrier that young change makers face when they're trying to scale their impact? Because I mean, we have all these amazing ideas, we have all these amazing innovations we want to bring to life. And sometimes we actually have piloted these initiatives, but then what are these barriers that you think
Yeah.
we face when we want to scale up? And also, not just stopping there, but then what are the practical steps that you think policymakers and financial institutions can take to remove these barriers? I mean, I remember earlier in January, the CBN and the UN Interagency Group held a conversation around outcomes on Summit of the Future and Paths for the Future. So yes, financial organizations are interested in sustainable financing, but what do you think is the gaps that young people face? And then steps that we can now take in terms of policymakers and these financial institutions to remove these barriers. So if we can just have your thoughts on that.
Thank you very much for the question. It's such an amazing one and a very timely one. So just to be very clear, I think that the biggest challenge that we face is access to secure, low interest or just low risk and patient capital for development is what we face the most. And I'm going to take it one after the other. So for secured, something that you can easily get, you know that you do not have to spend 2 years chasing a particular fund before you get that fund, something that is readily accessible and available, right? For low interest or low risk, it also means that funds that, if you're doing business, especially if you are in the social impact space, you're already working in an area where it's low profit margin, because bulk of what you do, right, it goes back into the society for good. For us, again, for the company that I lead at EcoBata, we are into sustainable waste collection and recycling. But then we do a lot of programs that we fund from the revenue from the recycling enterprise. We do a lot of programs around training women how to repurpose waste materials and make a living from it. So it means that it is already low interest for us. And if you're going to access any funds, be it debt capital as a loan from banks or development institutions, be it equity investment from angel investors or from venture capitalists, it has to be low interest, right? And that's the only time when it can make sense for us. And then on the other side is the size of the capital or the funds or the finance that we need. Like you mentioned, most people in Nigeria, most young people in Nigeria across Africa already have tried out their products or their prototype or their solution. They've tried it out. Maybe they've even gotten a few grants, 1,000 here, 5,000 here, 10,000 here to try it out. So we need access to large, very big and patient capital. So you need access to, let's say you're looking for 500,000 USD to then build out a solution. You're looking for 700,000 or even 200,000. Those are the kind of tickets that we're talking about that would make significant impact in the work that you're doing and help you to scale it. And you're not looking for a fund, or you're not looking for a fund that gives you 100,000 USD or 200,000 USD and they're looking for returns on investment in 1 year. Because when you look at social work in Nigeria and you look at social impacts and businesses generally, right, because there's already a lot of background problem, a lot of lack of infrastructure, a lot of lack of education of the market, it means when you're investing in this space, you have to do a lot of building those infrastructures yourself. Sometimes it looks as if you're building an entire ecosystem, on your own. So you need patience capital to be able to, scale. And some of the things that we've done at EcoBarter is leverage on partnerships, leverage first of all on storytelling and impact reporting, and then on partnerships. So for example, when we started in 2017, 2018, we made sure to keep data and keep record of everything we do, and we communicate that. When you collect, let's say you collect 100 kilograms of plastic bottles, even though that's just waste, there is value that you've created. Value in Naira that you've created for the people that you've collected it from, value in Naira for jobs that you've created, and even value in CO2 emissions, for the environment that some organizations are interested in. So you need to be able to communicate this value that you've done with the small, finance that you have access to, and you need to show consistency. So if there's a consistent growth, these people that have, because the truth is there's actually capital in this world. So it's just that because of the way they sense the risk in young people in Nigeria or in Africa, that's why there is limitation to us accessing this fund. You see how many trillion that banks in Nigeria are even declaring as profits. You see, development finance that is available. So you need to be able to document and show consistent work done and impact being made with even the small funds. And then when you have opportunities for partnerships, let's say from state governments, from international development agencies, you can latch on the impact that you've made to show them that if they invest more, then you can do more, right? And like I mentioned, there are also angel investors and venture capital funds that you can pitch to access these funds. But for us, we've done a lot of work, and a lot of the ways that we've, scaled the challenge of access to finance is doing so well with so little and getting partnerships to help us to fund our growth. We recently launched, like you rightly said, also a reverse vending machine, and the cost of producing one machine is a lot. And then, thankfully, after doing a prototype and after showing the world what we could do with the prototype, we were able to secure a partnership and a contract from a development agency to then build 25. So it wasn't even a grant, it was literally us selling our product at that prototype stage. And that's an advantage that if you were not in the social impact space, no large corporation will come and buy your prototype. But because you're in the social impact space, people are also more willing to help and more willing to support you even at that stage. But you need to be able to show, good work with even the small resource that you have access to. So yes, that's that's it from me. Thank you so much.
It's spot on. I mean, it was insightful even to me as a young individual. I mean, I walk around more of climate change and health, the intersection of those two. And then, I mean, even if it's not necessarily social impact in terms of recycling, you can also apply this strategy or this, this view to social impact and seeing how you can also get financing for other projects, which may not necessarily even be climate change related. However, what matters is ensuring that there's evidence-based, I would say evidence-based decisions that you can make. So when you're pitching to investors or when you're applying for grants, it's not based off the word of mouth. I mean, I can just do it. But then there's also proof of work done and evidence that's been done to show that, okay, aside from just the passion of being climate change, I mean, now there's this, I don't know if it's a craze or if it's now, it's a Gen Z thing. Everybody wants to be a climate change advocate, but don't want to put in the work, right? But then, yes, I want to, yeah, I mean, so, but just aside from the passion of wanting to change the world, aside from the passion of wanting to tackle planetary crisis, there's also evidence of work done that you've done something, and then institutions can leverage on that. It's easier to get investors and all of that. So, I mean, I get you, and thank you so much for that insight. So I'll go straight to Katrina. I mean, your work with Impact Hub Lagos is amazing in terms of transforming the lives of young people, inspiring, getting them empowered basically with the necessary skills and just driving pathways for them so they see value in themselves and be able to change the world as well as an extension. So I just want to get from your own point of view, from your experience of at Impact Hub Lagos, what financing models have you seen effectively support youth-led initiatives and enterprises in Nigeria? And then how can we scale these models for greater impact? Because I mean, from my understanding, um, these financing models, there's a number of them, but however, I believe that it's context specific. So financing models that will work in this part of the world, even in Nigeria, will be quite different from what works in even an African country, let's say like Kenya or South Africa, or we could say Rwanda and the likes. And even in Nigeria, I mean, coming down to the very basis of project management, I want to carry out a project, let's say in Lagos State. The project I'll carry out in Oshodi will be probably different from the project, same project, but in terms of strategy, in terms of implementation, the plans will be diverse, will be different in terms of maybe if I'm carrying out in, let's say, Idumota or some other place. So contextually to Nigeria as a country, what financing models have you seen effectively support you-led organizations and initiatives? And then how do we scale up these models for greater impact?
Thanks, Godwin. Good afternoon, everyone. It's lovely to be here. Lovely to be speaking alongside such great panelists. Just to note, it's Karina, not Katrina. I get that a
Oh, I'm
lot.
so sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. So Impact Hub, in terms of what we do, I want to just give a bit of context just before I answer the question. We work under three frames of work. So the co-working space, the community, and the programs. And a lot of our programs are focused on encouraging youth, supporting youth capacity building. And like you rightly said, Godwin, contextualization is really important. There are many financial models that work in other parts of the world and other regions and even other African countries, but Nigeria has a very unique blend of challenges and opportunities. And with the work that we do, we support both early stage and growth stage entrepreneurs and ventures, and a lot of youth-focused ventures as well. And just from the work that we've done based on trends that we've seen, I wanted to highlight a few of the models that we've seen to work quite well. And it might seem very basic, but first of all, starting with a family and friends round. I think we've spoken about it on this call where, of course, growth is exciting and startups and, climate action, and it's all very trendy and very sexy and very cool, but we need to make sure we're doing it in a very sustainable way. So even starting with the friends and family round, community-based funding, and pooling that together is really in line with ensuring that the solution or the idea that you have has been validated. And taking your time, to build a minimum viable product, an MVP, you hear that a lot. and ensuring that your target market is clear. They need the solution, they can afford the solution. There's a lot of market research and scoping that has done. And that friends and family round really does help to propel this side of things. And it's also a bit of a good time to begin to test, what would work, what doesn't work. Secondly, I know it's been alluded to on the call quite a few times, but a blended finance approach, whether that is through grants. So of course, as you're starting up, like Rita rightly said, the smaller grants, the smaller check sizes in that regard, but then going up to, more catalytic capital. So it could be zero or low interest loans and credit access, the microfinancing that I think Dr. Elizabeth mentioned. It could also be a revenue-based financing model. That's in terms of early stage social enterprise. I'll talk a bit more about that later. But basically, that entails not focusing on equity, but more so, revenue-based financing, so a bit of your revenue when you've grown a little bit. And it provides a larger runway for enterprises to be able to scale, as they are able to continue to testing and iterating what works and what doesn't work. We've also seen a large uptake in terms of local angel networks. So investing smaller check sizes, in youth ventures that look very promising and are growing. We had something similar with our program recently. It was the Impact Hub She Pitch event where we had female entrepreneurs pitching for a smaller check size, but in that way they were able to get access to capacity building and to mentorship and to more visibility that really does help their business development, which is something you're probably going to hear me say over and over again, but being able to ensure that the business development and the foundation is solid and we're walking before we run. And finally, in terms of a financial model that might be beneficial to, an early stage, a youth-focused venture, then coming back to the startup incubators and accelerators and the seed funding that comes with that. And then as you're growing, as you're scaling, looking into venture capital. So for example, joining programs, joining incubators and accelerator programs that again involve a lot of mentorship, a lot of early stage capital. We had a program at Impact Hub, the venture capital program, the VCP, and this was a blended capital structure. So it was a combination of grant funding and also equity investment. Well, LSTEF provided the initial capital, and we, managed the investment process, the supporting of the ecosystem. And I know I've said a lot, but in terms of scaling, and how to actually make these models sustainable, I would say that it's really important for us to not just continue to have, conferences and, demos and pitches, but also the foundation of understanding the investment readiness and understanding the core principles of pitching, understanding the business model is in check, understanding your pitch is clear, you know who you're speaking to, you understand what investors want to hear, and how you're going to actually be able to give value to them in that way. It's a value for value exchange at the end of the day. And I would also add, ensuring that your USP, your unique selling proposition is solid, it's tight. There's so many brilliant ideas coming out these days. There's so many amazing startups starting up, but you need to understand what makes you stand out, Additionally, ensuring that there's more collaboration cross-sectorally. So ensuring that youth platforms like this and various stakeholders who focus on youth are working together to put this to just make sure that it's more sustainable in the long term. And in addition, just tracking your progress, ensuring that you are tracking the impact you're making, like Rita mentioned, ensuring that it's visible, ensuring that it's clear, the progress that is being made, the impact you're making. And there's so much more. I could go on and on. But in summary, just ensuring that your foundation is clear and you're exploring the different avenues of funding available. There's so much capital out there. It's just understanding what you need at what stage and pacing yourself, ensuring you understand the different phases from early stage through to growth and as you scale.
Oh, I mean, it's like you said, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's a good whole lot. I would be surprised if no one took notes because you spoke a lot, and I loved the fact that you didn't just speak, but you spoke from a point of experience and a point of knowledge. So calling out words like MVP. We are youth, so we mean Gen Z here, I would say. So just showing that yes, it's not just about the talk of oh I'm a founder or oh I'm a CEO, but then knowing your onions. So from what I get you say, it's having to get a strong foundation because it's not just enough to start. but then get the foundation right, then it's easier to grow and then it's easier to scale up. And also having to make sure that, I mean, you have value, because I mean, you need to give value to get value. No one sees gold and ignores it, right? So, but then for you to have persons look your way, you need to be able to provide value, what's for their money. So, I mean, I really, really do relate to that. Thank you so much for those insights. Honorable Olamide, I don't know, are you on the call? If yes. Honorable Olamide, can you hear me? I don't know if he's having network issues or if he's on the call. Okay, so maybe we'll just go around again and then probably come back to him to just give his remarks as regards the two questions we asked to close off. So I'll be coming back to you, Rita. So I mean, you've spoken about a number of things in respect to the barriers and then how we can also have young people scale up their initiatives in terms of practical steps that they can take. Now, in your experience, how do you think multi-stakeholder partnerships, including governments, I'm talking about PPP, and private sector actors, youth organizations, financial institutions, can create more inclusive financial opportunities for youth-led enterprises? And then, I mean, I'm saying this because it's not enough to just put yourself out there, but you want to ensure that the key stakeholders are on board, are in the room with you. So it's not just coming from the point of, okay, I mean, takes this money or, and I mean, I'll just call out from what Karina mentioned
Thank
about.
you again, Godwin. I think your line was breaking the last few seconds, but I got the question.
Okay, all right then.
Hello?
So if you could just
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can. Rita, can you hear me? I don't know if it's network. Can anyone else hear me on the call? If you could just maybe send the text on the chat box, or you can give reactions. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I guess maybe it's Rita's connection. Maybe I might give her a minute to sort that out. Karina, we might have to come back to you for a minute before we come back to Rita and then have her respond. So while she sorts out her connections. Okay, all right then. She said no problem. So I guess you're ready for us today. There's so much stuff you want to have us learn. So yeah, so in respect, I know you came off the point of, and I think one key thing you mentioned that I really resonate with, and I would applaud the work that you do at Impact Hub, is not just ensuring or giving pathways for young people to secure funding, but it's also holding their hands to walk them through it. So you mentioned, I mean, you need to walk before you run. So it's not just having to give them access to funding, but then ensuring that there's judicious use, there's transparency, there's tracking, monitoring, evaluation, and all of that. So, I mean, in your experience, many young change makers, I'm pretty sure you must have, I mean, noticed they struggle with accessing this sustainable funding beyond short-term grants and then all of that. But then what alternative financing pathways do you think exists for them? Because yes, you might be able to get them access, but for some who also still struggle with putting their works out there, with in terms of the knowledge gap, in terms of access to information, how do you think they can also secure funding in terms of alternative pathways aside from the ones you've mentioned? And then how can they also navigate their way around these opportunities? I mean, I would be a bit angry if young persons on this call are not going to look up Impact Hub on Instagram or LinkedIn, all of that. So if you could just give insights to how young people can also navigate their way around the space of securing sustainable access to funding.
Thanks, Godwin. Don't be angry, please. They're very welcome. But of course, it has to make sure that it aligns with what they need. But we're very welcome to have them and introduce them to the community and our programs. But like you rightly said, I think there is definitely there comes to a point where there's an over dependence on grants. And also, I mean, I would love to ask in this room actually the youth who are on the call, if you are someone who runs a business who has received a grant, it's just like a show of hands or a reaction, just so I can know. Because it is very common that, you know, as you continue to grow, you begin to realize that, okay, this grant funding is not enough. It's not sustainable. There's more scaling that needs to be done, right? So, okay, I see a couple of hands. Yes, exactly. So I'm sure you're at that point where it's like, okay, I need more, I need more growth. I've developed my MVP. I have been able to show traction. I've been able to, prove that it works and it's needed. In terms of other revenue or other financing models, one that comes to mind is I mentioned it earlier, but revenue-based financing model, which is not the most popular, but in this part of the world, sometimes it does work. So in terms of a grow now, pay later, where a business continues to grow, and then they have access to capital that they, maybe repay in terms of their revenue percentages. And as long as it aligns with the investors and the entrepreneurs' interests, it can be less risky and it's gaining more traction in this part of the world, but also globally. And it could work particularly in sectors like the agribusiness sector, in terms of the creative industries, in terms of retail. That works quite well. Another one, which again could be controversial, but it depends on what the person needs, what the business needs, is the diaspora and crowdfunding area of things, of course, because there's a huge diaspora network. Nigerians, there's so many of us in diaspora. And even if a small percentage is invested into businesses here, it could do quite well. But of course, then comes in the governmental side of things and the political side of things. And it's just more about doing your research and understanding what works well for you at what period of time in your business. And finally, of course, beyond the one-time grants, there's also competitions that do have larger check sizes. So there's competitions based on milestone achievements because, like I mentioned earlier, the capacity building side of things is really important to balance with the, capital access. So it's a great way to build up accountability. It's a great way to incubate and accelerate businesses. And it's a great way to just have more visibility and understand more of what is needed in your side of work. So this could be in terms of milestone achievements, like I mentioned, it could be larger check sizes. And then, of course, we go to the larger check sizes in terms of VCs, in terms of funding in that regard. But with that, I will always say that it's important to do your research. It's important at that point to have mentors or advisors who are able to understand, the terms of the capital injection into your business and not just jump into it because VCs are exciting now. So as you scale, as you continue to grow as a business, just understanding what is required of you, and the terms involved. And navigating all of this, like I mentioned, involves a lot of measurements, a lot of frameworks in terms of measurement of the impact of your success, ensuring that you are tracking everything along the way. It's really important to document this. And I would say, as Godwin said earlier, join a community, join an ecosystem that will support you. You're not doing this alone. Being a founder can be very stressful. I'm sure Rita will agree to this. It can be very stressful. It's a lot of work. But you are doing amazing things. You are doing brilliant things that are needed. So stay encouraged. Just remember that you're not doing this alone. Even organizations like the NG Youth SDG, Mind the Gap, these are all community-based for a reason, because we understand that it is not an easy journey to embark on, to stick to not give up. When the frustrations of Nigeria come in, it's not easy, but it's worth it. So, of course, you're always welcome. Pop into the hub if you want to. You're always welcome to connect with all of us on the call. We're very happy to support you through your journey.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Karina. I think I'd be running to the next Impact Hub closest to my location right now. It's pretty perfect how you summarized your points. Sustainable financing is a bit nuanced when you look at areas of expertise and what you want to focus on exactly. You don't want to be the one person that eats all apples to see which one is sweeter or which one is ripe, which one is unripe. But finding your space and then having to now focus on a particular pathway or an alternative financing that works for you, works for the work that you do. Whatever product you want to innovate and all of that. So, pretty perfect. Thank you so much for your insights and knowledge you've shared with us. It's been a pleasure. Rita, so I'll be coming back to you. So we know you did mention stuff about how young people face barriers in terms of scaling when they have innovations and all of that. But then, in your experience, how do you think the diverse stakeholders play a role? In uplifting, or I would say, for lack of a better word, just having young people share successful examples of lessons they've learned from your own work. So it's more of a point coming from a point of sharing best practices and lessons learned from the work that you've done, and then how young people can also do same, but then involving multi-stakeholder partnerships, including government, private sector actors, financial institutions, and the likes, just key stakeholders who would play a role in ensuring the success of their innovations coming from your experience.
Thank you so very much, Godwin, for the question. So I think that there is typically a disconnect between young people and governments or, regulators generally, or people at that level, international organizations, but most especially governments. We already have this mindset that there is, all of the limitations, all of the bureaucracies, all of the things that we fault government and civil service for, right? So that already creates a barrier when we want to relate with them. But the truth is, to some extent, there are some government agencies, there are some government policies that are out there to enable, young businesses. And because of the barrier already in communication and relationship, young people do not know about these opportunities, and young people are unable to then, claim the opportunities. On the government side also, they also already have, an idea of how young people are, how to get them and attack them. And so when they have policies or when they eventually create some policies, you know, they are not even able to communicate it properly. When they are communicating it, there is already this skepticism from young people that maybe it's only, when you know who. So for us to be able to scale partnerships between young people, government agencies, policymakers, and financial institutions, there needs to be some very, very deliberate trust building, in the mix. I think that's where to start from. And a few examples I would give are, for example, SMEDAN. I think SMEDAN is around small, medium scale businesses. It's an agency of the government that supports them. And in Abuja, where I stay, Smedan actually has like workshops that are open for you to go and use at. For fashion, for example, if you're in the fashion industry, you can literally go and use their workshop for, I think, 500 naira. You don't pay any other thing in a day. You have so you can literally take like clients' clothes on social media, leverage social media, and go and use a facility that government has provided. Same thing for banks. I know banks and financial institutions can be ridiculous with their interest rates, but there are a few banks that have like zero interest loans for women-led businesses, especially. And I think FCMB has a program like that. Axis Bank has a program like that. And Sterling Bank also has a program like that. But so again, just like businesses too, these interventions and these programs are typically in silos. So the financial institutions are doing their own, government is doing their own. The only one I can even think of where it's a very close synergy between government and private sector, especially financial institution, is BOI. I'm not sure there are a number of people on this call that know, but you can literally walk into any bank of industry, like what's it called now, chapter or in your state, and start the process of requesting for a loan, and you get a loan at, I think, less than 9% interest rates, right? The process might be long because of all the collateral and all of the things they would require from you, but it happens. People literally get loans to start their business and grow their business. So there are these programs and interventions already, but I think that the challenge and why it hasn't been seen to be very out there is because of the trust that is broken between young people and government agencies, or young people and large corporations. And we need to start to rebuild the trust. And how do we rebuild the trust? On the side of, let's start from government agencies. When people are electing government, there is a social contract, right? So we need to be government needs to come out like whatever agency. So let's say for people in my space environments, it's talking to Ministry of Environment or Ministry of just Youth Development and Sports and things like that. There needs to be a very clear direction, itemized on what they want to do, so that young people know what to expect and can hold them responsible. On the side of financial institution, if you have programs, it should be very plain. If you say there is zero interest loan, it should be zero interest loan. It's not that along the way you then tell somebody that is asking for 10 million naira loan to go and bring a 1 million naira servicing cost or something like that. And on the side of young people, it is our responsibility that when we get funding, whether it's grants, whether it's loans, whether it's access to facilities, that we actually do deliver on the promise that we are making, on the expectation. You don't get a loan from a bank and then you go and buy a phone, or you get a loan from a bank and you japa. So what happens when you do those kind of things is you then further break trust, and you make it even more difficult for other people to be able to enjoy that sort of synergy or partnership. And so yes, that's my take on that. And so it's trust building, it's communicating the expectations and communicating and showing results. I think that that's what is going to work. Some other things I've seen work is, I think, Karima can say there's an innovation lab. So there is this thing where both government agencies and development organizations and financial institutions come together and create programs. I think in our space again, there is a program called the Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, which is like with UNIDO from Ministry of Environment, then CC Hub. CC Hub is just like Impact Hub. They're also doing amazing work with, incubating and growing young businesses and things like that. So there is a platform where they work together. Every year they take about 20 thereabout businesses, right? And then they train them, provide funding, provide support with that. So there is that. UNDP also has an innovation lab, where they do research about new ideas and support entrepreneurs and innovators. So there are already those platforms, but like I said, I think that just building trust, ensuring that we build and maintain trust by delivering on our promises is the way for us to grow this thing. And on a final note, there is something we don't do often in Nigeria that I'm also, a part of, I'm hoping we change. It's actually just documenting and like writing. So if there is a program that works both on the side of the institutions, the government, and even the startups and young businesses, we do not share a lot of our success stories in formats where we can retain it. So maybe you do a video for a Reels and you just speak about, oh, I was at an innovation lab. It's very rare where you see a well thought out, like maybe technical paper, white paper, or article that actually details how you got in, the experiences, and what you're expecting, right? Such that somebody else can do a quick research and they can get this resource. So I think that we also need to do more about sharing some of these wins so that more people can know about them. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. I mean, it's a lot of experience coming from, your experience in working in this space and then sharing all of this with young people. We are so grateful. I mean, I'm pretty sure persons on the call can't wait to probably have to speak to you in person or connect with you via social media just to tap from the grace. I will do so. I want to tap from the grace. Your LinkedIn DMs already. Thank you so much. But what I really pick it up from what you said that resonates with me most is how we need to be deliberate about trust building, how we need to be deliberate about ensuring that our mindset towards sharing our wins is more open-ended. So we have young people, we have other persons being inspired by our stories and not just putting out just it for the glare of it. So thank you so much. So I'll just go straight up real quick to Honorable Olamide. I think he's on the call back now. So yes, sir, from your experience, I just want you to share with us your experience in shaping climate technology and policies, especially within the context of Nigeria. So in terms of looking at climate-focused enterprises and then how the government can collaborate with financial institutions so young people and the young entrepreneurs can access sustainable funding. Given your background in climate finance, climate technology, I believe it's key to ensuring that innovation in this field, looking at climate adaptation, looking at climate mitigation, innovations around this sector is more, I would say, 21st century in a kind of fish, just so that young people are able to engage with government, secure those partnerships, and be able to scale up. I don't know if you heard me. You're on mute. You may need to unmute, sir. Honorable Olamide, you're on mute, so you'd have to unmute your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can.
Okay, I've got two devices on.
Okay,
one of them is the video and the other. Yeah, so
okay.
I think we can do this. Yeah, because there's a bit of connection issue. But thank you so much. I've been listening in, even though I've been in sort of in transit. But it's good to be here on this forum, and I really, really, really appreciate let's put this together, especially the SDG personnel for Kwame and Joshua's team, and also the CSOs and NGOs. I listened to what the keynote speaker said about the opportunity in the AI space and the technology index, where Nigeria is really behind on technology adoption. We're ranking about 113 out of 130 countries, which is something we can do. We can do a lot more, but especially since when you think about the youth demographic in Nigeria and how much we can harness from their ability to make transformative change in a country like this. So what I will say is, what has obtained in the past is that the policy environment, the enabling environment that the government needs to create for young people to be able to thrive is not being. There's more that can be done in that environment, and the current administration is looking to improve on that. And what we are trying to do, myself, is to make sure that there's a listening ear that will be tendency to promise and promise and promise, but the capacity to actually build out and create opportunities for young people. Connecting young people to opportunities sometimes is lacking in action, and it should be more about climate action, not climate talk. That's what this is all about. So I would like to think that there are many opportunities in this space for young people to access, especially finance. So I'll give the example of the iDice Fund, which is something that is a very viable fund for entrepreneurs. It was designed to catalyze the startup ecosystem in the creatives and the digital economy. But there's also opportunity for all sorts of innovators to tap into that fund. Like the earlier speaker said, this is there's quite a bit of, should I say, preparation that needs to happen. And one of the key areas where there are gaps, you will find with being able to access some of these funds, the ability to prepare your projects and make them meet the criteria that is necessary to be able to access some of these opportunities. So there's an emphasis on capacity building capacity of young people who have ideas and would like to grow them or expand the scope of their business. As a matter of fact, my office is putting together one of these things in partnership with the Youth SDG initiative. The idea is to be able to connect young people to opportunities in the innovation partnership with as many agencies as possible. I would really welcome all collaborations that expand on this initiative. It's really about caring and understanding that the youth have an important role to play in climate action, especially and building resilience into the future, especially with economic diversification. I think we could all agree that we're past peak oil, a country like Nigeria. So the future will have to do with being able to harness the power of science while we're facing challenges to also be able to build a robust. One of the things that I'd also like to bring to the attention of everyone is that with respect to research and innovative capacity, we now have a research innovation council and will seek to consolidate the efforts because there's a lot of disparate research and innovation capacity in the country. And you'll remember I said that young people could really benefit from capacity building in several areas, just being able to take their ideas and take them to the next level. So I think this structure, this mechanism, might be something that will contribute to improving or accelerating progress in that area. I think at this point, I don't know, I joined a bit later and I don't want to take everybody's time. But I thought I speak directly to the organizers. So, I would really like to work very closely with everybody. I'm very passionate about climate change and young people. And I think we can take all of this to the next level. So thank you.
Amazing, really amazing. Thank you so much for your insights. I mean, you spoke of from a place of passion and a place of expertise as well. And I mean, the combination of those two, I mean, is phenomenal because when we have passion and then we have the expertise to drive our passions, we want to innovate and then drive solutions that will solve in the problems and challenges that we face in our community. And coming from the point of climate change, it was something we really spoke to that resonated with me as well in respect to collaboration across multiple sectors. Now, last year, I mean, I was privileged enough to implement a project here in Abuja where I worked with NGO Youth. I mean, I was still a young champion then. There's a 1-year fellowship that the NGO Youth SDGs Network do for young people just to empower them. And I was a fellow last year. And during the course of that, I wanted to carry out a project to go on climate mitigation and adaptation strategies here in Abuja. I worked in a couple secondary schools. And I mean, without funding and all of that, I pitched the project to NGO SDGs and they supported in terms of providing me with materials to carry out my strategy and all of that. So I never would have thought it would have been possible, but just by virtue of collaboration and partnerships, I mean, that's SDG 17. So I was able to work with secondary schools and transform lives by having them become champions for SDGs in their school community. So I think that's really key in terms of seeing how we can collaborate, not just vertically in terms of a young person and a politician, a young person and someone who's up there, but also horizontally in terms of peer groups and organizations who probably have the same drive and passion as yours. So thank you so much for your insights. It was really, really helpful and insightful to we on the call. So I think what I'll do here is now just open up the conversation. I know persons have been asking questions in the chat. I mean, they've been getting responses. So does anyone else have a question or a concern you want to address? Maybe you can just signify by raising up your hands and I'll call you. And then we can just move on from there. If there are any questions, you want to just contribute to give a comment on what our speakers have mentioned, aside from conversations that have been shared on the chat. You can raise your hands and then I can give you the floor. I think it's been pretty insightful. Our notepads must be pretty full at the end of the call, from Rita to Karina to Honorable Olamide, and then also insightful address from Dr. Elizabeth, and then Tayo Loshunde, and then also Ronald from Unique. And then, I mean, it's just been an amazing conversation so far. I guess there are no questions. We are all full. It's now time to reflect and drive the solutions that, I mean, we've found innovations to. So what we'll do here is just hand over back to Okoyemi. I don't know if she's still on the call, and Precious. Precious, are you still on the call? If I can just hand over to you. Thank you so much for having us.
Wow.
I mean, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing. Wow. This is a lot. Come on. I really want to see our excitement reflected in the chat box. Can we just go ahead and just share our excitement? Let's reflect through reactions, emojis. I mean, this is so profound. This is a lot of insights being shared here so far since morning. Can we reflect our excitement before we quickly move ahead to the last segment of today? Can we do that? Ladies and gentlemen, come on. I believe we can do better. Our reactions, our emojis in the chat box. Let's reflect. This is so profound. I mean, I've learned so much, and I believe you have as well. I mean, awesome. So the theme of the discourse has been youth leadership and financing for a sustainable future, and we had amazing speakers, deliver keynote address to us, from Mr. Ronald to Dr. Elizabeth, and then we have this amazing panelist session moderated by the amazing Godwin Azizi. I mean, awesome. Thank you, Honorable Lamide. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Karina, for the amazing insight shared during this panelist session. Right, so we just move quickly to the last segment. Right, so if you have questions, please make sure you don't keep your questions to yourself. This is why you are in this room. So make sure you do well to share in the chat box. Make sure you share, the question will be answered as much as it can. So make sure you don't keep the questions yourself. Share your excitement, share your reflections, and of course, there is a link being shared in the chat box right now by Okoyemi. So that's a feedback about today's session. So you may do well. I mean, you should do well to actually, click on that link and just give a feedback of what you've learned so far. So the link is right there in the chat box. So please do well to share your thoughts with us, share your reflections, share your lessons. If you have any thoughts, you can go ahead to just share through that link. All right, so I'm moving forward to the last segment of today. I mean, it's been so amazing so far, and I'll just go ahead and call on Mr. Joshua Halade. So I will just go ahead and read his bio while I, hand over the mic to him. All right, so for the closing remark and call to action, we have Joshua Alade from Nigeria Youth SDGs. So Joshua Alade is an education and decent work policy advocate, passionate about positive youth development and sustainable community development. Over the last 8 years, Joshua has invested in youth leadership and activism to improve access to education and decent work opportunities for young Nigerians and underrepresented groups. His work focuses on cultural authenticity and youth leadership for sustainable development. Joshua is the founder of Nigeria Youth SDGs Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative, a youth-led civil society organization advocating for meaningful youth engagement in policies and programs that enable them to lead and thrive. Joshua has a master's in sustainable development from the University of Bradford, courtesy of the Chevening Scholarship Awards. Joshua was awarded the 2022 Young Peace Center for Africa Development on Africa Day at the United Nations headquarters. Ladies and gentlemen, can we make welcome Mr. Joshua Lade as he just goes into the call to action at hand, the segment. Can we reflect our excitement? Can we clap? Can we clap? Come on. I believe we should do that better. Let's welcome Mr. Joshua Lade, the founder of Nigeria Youth SDGs Network. One of the partners that put together this amazing session we've been holding. All right, Mr. Joshua, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much, Precious. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for everybody who has started from the beginning of this conversation to now. It's been 2 hours of being online with you. I want to give a huge kudos to all the speakers, the panelists, partners, Mind the Gap, the UN in Nigeria. Thank you all so much for making all the time to be here. As this conversation was happening, one of the things that I was reflecting on was that when I started my journey in youth work in Nigeria, and with the aim of ensuring that we have conversations like this and bringing young people to the table. But now I see that the work is more than just creating this space. It's more than just meaningful youth engagement or policy conversations. Something is key, which is how do we fund the work that would ensure that young people can be able to thrive? How do we ensure that we can create all the structures needed to enable the innovations and the ideas of the young people in Nigeria today? And finance is really very important. I've been someone who, yes, I keep my money well, but I don't care about other people's money. What I'm interested in is how can I use the money I have, the money I can get to support myself. But in youth work, we actually need this financing to be able to transform our national life. And I really want to say thank you so much for all the speakers. Like the insights today has been inspiring, from learning from my very good friend Rita. I've known Rita since 2017 or 2018, and Karina. Thank you so much, Honorable Lamide. We also wanted to have the Nigerian Development Bank here, because again, what's this conversation about money if where we can get the money from? So we want to do that. As I close, one of the things I really want to reflect on is that yes, we can have all of these conversations, but it's really very important that we move into action. In June or in July this year, there's going to be the third forum for financing for sustainable development, and the conversation that we're having today is really very important. And why is it important? First is for everybody who is joining this call. As Mr. Bernard Kayanja said, he said, young people, you are very important. Your voice matters. And it's really very important that we keep pushing, we keep building, and we keep asking questions, asking people that what's your plan for young people? How are you supporting youth innovation? Asking, being able to bring up your needs. What are the needs that young people need? How do we explore new sources of funding? Rita has mentioned how she was able to sell the prototype that she had. Karina had said, talking about family financing, looking out for small checks, blended finance, and also building networks is really very important. We all have ideas of solving problems, and it's really very important that we are able to get the investment that we need to be able to do that. One of the things that we did this year at NG Youth SDG is that we provided seed funding of 5 million naira to 4 young people who are creating like amazing innovations that would help Nigeria fight climate change. And we can't just stop there. We need to keep knocking. The second part is that we've also tried to bring the donors together. Because we can't keep saying that young people are the future if we don't give them the money that they need today. So we need to rethink it. I love the model of the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund. It's all about accountability and trust. And I love how that funding is actually reimagining trust for young people. So it's really very important that we keep committing to designing financial tools that are accessible, the ones that are flexible, and that are led by young people. As I always say, that nobody knows the needs of young people like young people. So we need to make sure that the seed fundings that we give to young people have the potential to be able to transform the work that they do and also their lives as a whole. My next call is actually to government and policymakers. It's really very important that we look at how can we bring in financial inclusion into our strategy as a country. In the Nigerian youth, in our national youth policy, it's really very important that we ask ourselves, how do we fund holistic youth development in Nigeria? How do we ensure that youth enterprises that we have, that they are not falling into multiple taxations as we see happen in Nigeria today? I'm happy about the new rules that is coming up when it comes to taxes in Nigeria, and I hope that we can keep building on this and bringing the voices of young people in the designs of financial policies in our country. As I wrap up, I want to say that as it's our call, we are not just handing it here. We are going to be producing a report. Please be on the lookout for the report after this conversation. The discussions that are here, we are going to be submitting everything that we have done to the UN. We hope that we can also build on this as we head into the third Financing for Development conference that is happening in Spain. And we also want to ask that as young people, if you have ideas, if you think that there are ways that you would love to work with NGO SDGs, or maybe an idea just sparked from here that you would love to build on, we are always willing to listen to you. We, as an organization, we cannot do this alone. So we're inviting you all to come, let's co-create together. This is about our future. We can't talk about our future without finance. And so it's important that we all work together. So thank you so much onto my team. Thank you for making this happen. And for everyone who has attended, I hope that we leave this space knowing fully well that your voices are important and that we can't stop here. Nigeria is our own and we must keep building. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joshua. I mean, that's so spot on. That's a very great way to end, the session this morning. Wow. Amazing. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, I really, really want to see our excitement again. As we close this meeting, let's reflect. Let's reflect. You really want to share, emojis, reactions here and there. Let's keep the fire up as we, wrap up finally, the session this afternoon. And yes, there is a link that has been, consistently been dropped in the group. I mean, in the chat box. Let's do well to click on that link and share your feedback concerning to this session. It's very important that we do that. And I really think we should do that right now. So before we all, exit the call, can we just go ahead and share, our feedback, your reflections, your thoughts on the link dropped in the chat box? I really believe we can actually go ahead and do that. It's been so amazing, since morning, ever since we started. And if you just joined us probably, towards the end, you can do well to go back to YouTube. The full session is actually recorded and it was streamed live on YouTube. So I believe the YouTube link will also be dropped, as I'm speaking right now, so that you can go ahead to just go back to YouTube to catch the glimpse of the session. Amazing. I mean, this is we are under the umbrella of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, UN, ECOSOC, and so this is a virtual side event that has been going on since morning. I mean, amazing partners that put this together: Nigeria Youth Heritage Network, the Mind the Gap Nigeria, and then the United Nations Nigeria Interagency Youth Group. So they put this together for us, and we have amazing speakers who have giving us delivered keynote address to us, powerful insights, from Mr. Ronald to Dr. Elizabeth. Then we have amazing panelist session that has been delivered to us by Rita. We have Honorable Lamide, and then Karina, moderated by Gordon Lassisi. Very, very stellar moderation there. So before you go, you really want to actually drop, pitch yourself, before you get to go. You want to drop what you do as a person, maybe just your LinkedIn contact, your LinkedIn profile link, so that you can connect with each other as relevant. So, but as you are doing that, make sure you really go ahead and share your feedback on today's session via the link dropped in the chat. You really should do that. And just like Mr. Joshua said, that vision without action might actually prove empty afterwards. So make sure we've learned so much today. Our notepad are filled up, just like Gordon Lassisi said. But don't just keep those things to yourself. Make sure you get right on the action. So as a person, I lead this this movement, fostering climate responsibilities across communities in Nigeria, and I'm just fire up again to just keep pushing on, in my own effort of making Nigeria a more sustainable country. So I believe we can all do this together. So let's make sure we keep projecting ourselves, keep we've learned so much today, put it into action. Let's make it work. And as our team implies, youth leadership and financing for a sustainable future. So we've learned so much today, and I believe that that sustainable future is right within us. So let's let it out by engaging the amazing things we've learned so far today. All right, so we'll just go ahead and just take a picture right now. So please, can you go ahead and just unmute? No, not unmute, rather. Can you go ahead and just open up your video? I believe everybody should be allowed to open their video right now and just get to see your beautiful faces. We've come so far. It's been since 11 a.m. We've been on this call, and it's a proof of your tenacity and your endurance, as it were. So can you just go ahead and just open up your video? Can we do that? Okay, okay. Okay, if you are done, I think we should actually reflect that, right? So people may not just. Can we just go ahead and just share? If you are done filling the chat box, can you just write it or just text it out in the chat box? That okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Can we just have I'm done? Like how many now? So let's test it out in the chat box. If you are so done with the feedback or you've copied the link for you to actually attend to it shortly after, please just write I'm done so that we can get to have our picture. So I'm expecting to hear from us. If you are so done, can you just type it in the chat box? Okay, I'm done feeling. So it's very, very important that we actually, share our feedback concerning to this session. It's so important that we do that. And I believe we are doing it already. So if you are so done, please keep typing it out. Okay, Gabriel is done. Isaac is done as well. So please, if you are done, go ahead and just type it out. Let's know that you have done filling, the Google link form. Okay, Absalam is done. Amazing. Mohammed is done. Please go ahead. Let's do this within
Precious,
few
we
more
can take the
seconds
group
before we.
video. We can take the group picture now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone can turn
All
on
right
their
then.
video.
So
Yes.
Okay.
all right. So let's do that. Everyone. All right. From wherever we are joining from across the globe, let's turn our video and let's take the group picture. All right. Of course, we are smiling. Not after this wonderful session. Everybody's smiling at the camera as we take the picture together.
And comes, let us know when we are done, please. Thank you. Please let's turn on our video. I can't see some of our videos. We just want to see your face. Thank you so much. Precious has urged us to turn on our video. I'm also urging us to turn on our video. Comes, let us know when we are done. Please turn on your video. We want to see your beautiful faces, your happy smiles. Collins, we can't see your face. Yetune, I can't see your face. Abib, I can't see your face. We want to see your face. Ephraim, all right.
So are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Big smile, everybody. Just one more. Just one more. A little video with your smile. Smile, please. Don't frown. Can we all say ECOSOC 2025?
Yes.
ECOSOC
ECOSOC
2025.
2025.
I can hear some people. I can hear some people's voices. Are we hungry?
No.
Should we serve virtual item 7? All right, so 1, 2, 3 again. ECOSOC 2025.
ECOSOC 2025.
Can you also say thank you to NGU SDGs?
Thank you,
Thank
NGU's
you.
SDGs.
All right, thank you, everyone. We hope that you have a great day.
Thank you as well.
All right, amazing, amazing. All right, one last thing. You want to go out there on your social media platforms and share, your reflections. Just tag in NG Nigeria Youth SDGs Network. Mind the Gap Initiative. You can go ahead and tag. Share your reflections on LinkedIn. Share on Facebook. Share on Twitter. Just share and don't keep that reflection to yourself. And if you want to go back, you can actually go back to the YouTube. I believe the link should be shared again so that we can actually copy the link and enjoy the experience again at our own, leisure. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the meeting, for joining the session, for joining the event this afternoon. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying true. Okay. I believe you can go ahead now. So if you are yet to actually feel the feedback, you can still go ahead and copy the link before the call is finally ended.
Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Do have a lovely and amazing day ahead.
Thank you as well.